45,000 pouring into the racetrack, ready to see NHRA action on one scorching hot afternoon. This is the Old Bridge Township Raceway Park at Englishtown, New Jersey. Hello, I'm Paul Page, and there are over 700 cars here to compete at the Summernationals. This is the halfway point, the 7th round of the 14-race series that makes up the NHRA World Championship Series. And if the previous events are any indication at all, then we should have more than our share of excitement today. Let's consider, for example, Pro Stock. Now there, Butch Leal is the points leader, but he has never won the Summernationals. Previous events this year, he's been in every final round, but it's the mid-season point where last year, Bob Glidden began his climb to an unprecedented 7th world title. Funny car. Everyone's saying, how do we beat Kenny Bernstein? Bernstein, on the other hand, is cocksure and driving very well right now and looking for his 3rd straight Summernationals victory. In Top Fuel, Joe Amato is the points leader, but Dick LaHaye is the man to watch. He has won the previous 3 races. If he can win today, then he will set an unprecedented record, winning 4 straight Top Fuel events. More on that story, too. Let's go to the pits and Steve Evans.
Paul, I don't know how these racing crews work as hard as they do in this heat. The temperature is 97 degrees. The humidity is, well, I don't even want to talk about the humidity. Round 1 action has been completed, and most of the big-name drivers have moved into the quarterfinals. And Dick LaHaye seems to be able to defy that old adage, the more you win, the better your chances of losing. He also has advanced. But the big news, the stunner, as far as LaHaye is concerned, came in qualifying when in this heat, in this humidity, he set the world record for the quarter mile. He was surprised.
I feel just fine. I mean, in the heat of the day and all this humidity, it's amazing, Steve. It's like I've told you before. I mean, what a year we're having, you know, with the Miller American car and Larry Minor. It's out of control.
You have everyone shaking their heads, even the funny cars. They can't understand how a smaller motor than any of them run can do this.
Well, I guess the engine's pretty efficient. It's got 8 cylinders from the minute I step on it until I shut it off, and it don't do anything dumb up there. And it makes a lot of horsepower.
Good luck on 4 in a row. No one's ever done it before.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Well, we're ready to go with the 2nd round of Top Fuel drag racing as we watch Dick LaHaye and take a look at the current point standings. We're in the middle of a point fight where LaHaye could catch and pass Joe Amato during this event.
And Amato has amassed all of those points due to 5 out of 6 final round appearances, even though he's only won 1 race. Well, there's the world's quickest dragster. That's Dick LaHaye. In round number 1 earlier today, he had a very interesting matchup with Eddie Hill over in the far lane.
Now watch very carefully that white car, the Texan, in the far lane. As they come off the line, suddenly the front of the car came up in the air. Eddie Hill kept it up and then lowered it down very gently.
Eddie Hill, was I looking at one of the best jobs ever of controlling a wheel stand, or a man just fighting for his life inside?
I was trying to set her down easy, and I think I did pretty easy, but that sucker was way up there.
Well, there's nothing bent on the front end, so it was a perfect landing, actually.
It felt pretty good. Yeah, it bent the car a little, but I think I came out about as good as I could under the circumstances.
And all you could see was sky and sun.
Yeah, really. I thought I was running pretty fair with Dick. I don't know what it looked like, but sure hate to shut off, but what can you do?
Great job.
Thank you.
And Hill was actually leading LaHaye until the wheels came off the ground.
An amazing driving job. Well, there is Texan Gene Snow in the far lane. He's from Fort Worth, Texas. He will be LaHaye's opponent here in 2nd round action. Snow using a canopy, much like Don Garlick's pioneered, and also the small front wheels. They're moving into stage very delicately, working that handbrake to sliding the wheel forward an inch at a time. And Gene Snow blazes the tires. The Snowman is out of this one. Dick LaHaye wins it at 5.34 seconds, much to the delight of his son, Jeff. And Dick LaHaye continues to enjoy a tremendous performance advantage over the field, much as Kenny Bernstein has in funny car. But at this race, Kenny Bernstein can feel the thunder behind him. Mark Oswald, John Force, and others are starting to catch up. All right, it's time for another race in round 2 of Top Fuel.
Continuing round 2, Gary Ormsby is ready to face Connie Coletta. There's Ormsby as he rolls out in his Burnout. His last win came in 1984 at the Winter Nationals. A 20-year veteran, Gary Ormsby from Northern California.
And his opponent is Connie Coletta, who served as crew chief for 2 of Shirley Muldowney's World Championships. And earlier today, in round number 1, Paul, the fans got a real treat.
as Shirley Muldowney rolled up in the near lane to take on Connie Coletta. A very touchy relationship. The two of them, whenever they face one another, are really ready to race. But in this particular situation, Shirley got away just a bit late and lit the tires. Coletta won.
Surely all the ingredients were there. Connie Coletta in the opposite lane, a grandstand full of people who've watched you race for years on this, what was your home track, just for one of a few feet.
I think it was less than that. The car shook a little bit, and we may have been a little off. I think that had something to do with the performance of the car, but thank you.
Thank you. You bet.
So as a result of that, Coletta in the far lane is now ready in second round to face Gary Ormsby.
Coletta had a very good start against Shirley Muldowney, and again here against Ormsby. It is Coletta off the mark first, but something goes wrong with that machine. Gary Ormsby will go to the semifinals at 5:43, 266 miles per hour.
We'll be right back with more Top Fuel action.
You know, it's true what they say about crack and cocaine. This year, over 15,000 people who try it are in for a real rush.
America is sending her best. The swift. The strong. The athlete. America is sending her best, and NBC will be there.
We're back at the NHRA Budweiser Summer Nationals. Over $700,000 on the line before a record crowd. One man they won't see, he didn't qualify, is the Big Daddy, Don Garlits. Earlier, Steve was in his pit.
The Summer Nationals marked the final race for a legendary Top Fuel dragster. Big Daddy Don Garlits, Swamp Rat 30. This car debuted in March of 1986 at the Gator Nationals in Gainesville, Florida, where it promptly smashed right through the 270-mile-per-hour barrier and also carried Big Daddy to his second consecutive NHRA Top Fuel World Championship. With this machine, we first saw the canopied cockpit, as you see here, right under glass. Also, for the first time, we saw a sculptured nose like that sliced right through the wind. Also, the first really small front wheels that allowed for that low nose profile. But this car probably will be most remembered for what happened at this race 1 year ago. Big Daddy's famous over backwards with a twist, where the car ultimately ended up with the rear tires smoking on the track in the wrong direction. Now, you'll have to wait about 10 years to find this car in Big Daddy's Museum of Drag Racing in Ocala, Florida, because its first decade of retirement will be at another museum in Washington, D.C., the Smithsonian. Actually, the car left the racetrack early. Big Daddy retired it before the final qualifying round. I asked him why.
My time would be better spent tomorrow and the next day getting home and getting to work on Swamp Rat 31.
Can you give us a preview? Anything different?
No, it'll look kind of like this. A little more streamlined in the front, a little different concept on the nose piece, canopy, and basically just a nice replacement car.
Well, 30 will be long remembered.
I'll remember it a long time, you can bet on that.
Well, as we watch Dick LaHaye on the return road, I think it's important to note that when an institution as prestigious as the Smithsonian recognizes motorsports, and particularly NHRA drag racing, it tells you how far this sport that started on the Salt Lakes in the 50s has come.
Indeed it has, Paul. And here is a man from Houston, Texas, who may someday be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. Former quarterback Dan Pastorini. And he is up against, from Old Forge, Pennsylvania, the man we've talked so much about, the points leader for the World Championship, Joe Amato. Amato ran quicker in the first round than did Pastorini, so he has lane choice. He has selected that far lane. The staging process just about completed. And there's the green light. Away first is Amato. Amato with a car length advantage, half track, and he extends that. Joe Amato goes to the semis. His wife, Jerry, a fifth smile, 5:35, 274 miles per hour did it.
So Joe Amato moves ahead and will face Dick LaHaye in the semifinals. That brings up Frank Bradley and Darrell Gwynn.
Darrell Gwynn, Paul, was the world record holder for elapsed time until Dick LaHaye came along at this very race and took it away from him. Quite frankly, Darrell Gwynn has been struggling a little bit, breaking a lot of parts, something he hasn't done in the past. He has slowed down over the last couple of races. Now, Frank Bradley, he particularly likes this track in Englishtown, New Jersey. In 1984, the final round, Frank Bradley against Joe Amato. Bradley was victorious on that day.
He faces Darrell Gwynn from Miami, Florida, the winner at this race 1 year ago.
And this is only Darrell's third year in the Top Fuel Dragster ranks. He formerly drove the slightly slower alcohol dragsters where he was world champion. Oh, how hot is it, Paul? Look at the far end. Joe Amato getting cooled down by Ronnie Davis, NHRA's emergency medical technician.
In fact, so hot that all of these competitors are having a tough time figuring out how to get the traction down on this surface. We've seen a lot of wheel spinning. Bradley, the near lane. Gwynn, the far lane.
And what a contrast. Gwynn, the most contemporary car out here. Frank Bradley, an old car, but does it ever leave the starting line?
And one great race here as Bradley left the starting line early, but then Gwynn was able to drive him down in the last part of the quarter with a 5:38.264. Semifinal pairings. Ormsby will take on Darrell Gwynn. Gwynn will have his choice of lanes, while Dick LaHaye will face Joe Amato, and LaHaye will have lane choice. But it really doesn't seem to matter which lane you choose.
And back in the funny car pits, Paul, this lovely lady, Ruth Hoover, is celebrating this weekend her 62nd wedding anniversary, 62 years, with this man, George Hoover, who is still actively at work on the funny car of his son, Tom Hoover. Congratulations to those fine folks from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And of course, in just a few minutes, we'll see Tom Hoover and the rest of the funny car ranks. But right now, it's round 2 of Pro Stock as we take a look at the current point standings with Butch Leal as the leader. But remember, this is where last year Bob Glidden started his move back to the national championship.
And we are ready for second round action in Pro Stock. There is the car from Arlington, Texas, owned by Ruren Morrison and driven by Bruce Allen. His competition in the far lane will be driving a Pontiac Trans Am, and unlike Allen, he has never won an NHRA national event. That is Tony Christian. Tony hails from Sarasota, Florida, and is a fine driver, particularly right off the starting line. Bruce Allen, a native of Michigan, but Paulie has now moved down to Arlington, Texas to be closer to the team and really work hands-on with this car.
And the Pro Stock category, very sophisticated, 1,100 horsepower cars that make for very close drag racing.
That's right. They're 2,350 pounds. NHRA requires that the body dimensions be very close to the car you'd find on the showroom floor. So you've got Chevrolet in the near lane, Trans Am in the far lane, Tony Christian versus Bruce Allen, and away first is Christian with the wheels in the air. This is a real dogfight. They are side by side. This is what the fans love about Pro Stock. Paul, I couldn't call it, but the electronic finish line does. Near lane, Bruce Allen, they were 1/100th of a second apart, 761 to 762.
Just the wink of an eye as the front wheels come off a little bit higher on Christian's car. They both run side by side all the way through the quarter mile, but then at the far end, it was Bruce Allen by a mere 100th of a second. So Bruce Allen moves ahead and into the semifinals of Pro Stock.
And Paul, I doubt that either Bruce Allen or Tony Christian, who you see right there in the dark fire suit, had any idea who won that till they got down to the return road area.
Well, close racing is exactly what Pro Stock is known for. Now, Jerry Ekman faces Reed Wisnett.
And Jerry Ekman, Paul, is a real comer in this Pro Stock Eliminator. He's running quicker and faster with every race. Now, Reed Wisnett formerly raced a Chrysler Corporation car, now with a Camaro, and he's been doing this for about 20 years out of Atlanta, Georgia. These are 500 cubic inch machines. They burn racing gasoline, no nitro or alcohol allowed. And, Paul, they may be among the toughest cars in drag racing to drive because you've got to make 3 gear changes. These are 4-speed transmissions in these cars. Carrying the front wheels right off the mark, Jerry Ekman in the near lane with a slight advantage mid-track. Reed Wisnett trying to close, but he comes up short. It is at 7:57 to a close 7.63 seconds.
They came off the line even, but Ekman drove them down. As Pro Stock continues, here is Warren Johnson, ready to face Larry Morgan.
And you can see him working those 4-speed levers, doing the Burnout. The Burnout, of course, done differently with these cars than it is with the dragsters or the funny cars. They use a line lock. They lock up the front brakes and get them spinning stationary and then just kind of move towards the line. Larry Morgan of Ohio in his second year of Pro Stock racing. Of course, Warren Johnson has been doing it for a long time. He also, in an Oldsmobile, the only Pro Stock car, Paul, ever to top 190 miles per hour. That's Warren Johnson in the near lane.
He's the defending champion here at the Summer Nationals. In the far lane, Larry Morgan, they both come off the line. Something wrong with Johnson early on. He's running well behind as Larry Morgan rolls on to victory with a 7:59, 182 miles an hour as mechanical ills strike Warren Johnson. Back up at the starting line, 7-time world champion Bob Glidden sits almost casually in his car as he's ready to control this massive horsepower of the pro stock. He's ready to face Jerry Haas, but let's consider how he got to this round, because Bob Glidden from Whiteland, Indiana, faced the current points leader, Butch Leal. Leal has been in every final round this year, winning 3 of them. That is Leal in the far lane from the first round. Earlier action today, Bob Glidden in the near lane. The two facing one another very early on. Leal got away first, but Bob Glidden was able to drive him down. Glidden won, and Leal was out of action.
Bob, the world champion. I mean, if I'm going to have anybody beat me, I'd rather be the world champion, you know, and my string's gone. Maybe we can start another one, Steve. I just hope so.
So we're back to action as Bob Glidden is ready to face Jerry Haas.
Interesting here, Paul. Jerry Haas is the man who built Bob Glidden's Thunderbird. He's from St. Louis, and he was drafted to drive this car. Pete Smith was supposed to be at the wheel. He fell ill during qualifying, so Haas is a fill-in. That is the IROC Camaro, the blue car in the far lane. Off the mark, first is Jerry Haas. Paul, he has cut a perfect light. A man with very little driving experience. He's ahead of Glidden, and he beats Bob Glidden. The crew is in shock for that car. Just incredible. The whole shot did it because he ran a slower lapse time.
An unbelievable upset at the Summer Nationals. Now in the far lane, that is Haas. And the green light winked on, and 0.003 of a second later, Haas was gone. And that picture there is what we call a hole shot. Bob Glidden did everything he could to drive Haas down. But it was an incredible upset. Jerry Haas with a 767, 181 miles an hour. So the pairings for the semifinal run, Jerry Haas will face Jerry Ekman, and Ekman will have lane choice. Bruce Allen will face Larry Morgan, and there, Larry Morgan will have choice of lanes. We'll be back with funny car action right after this.
Like many before, you came here asking for just one thing.
Sadowski, Shiboski.
A chance.
Pronounced Shiboski. You're gonna make it, here comes you. Make America work, and this fight's for you.
Here's to you. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste
Hey, Sid.
that says Budweiser.
This Bud's for you.
You are about to see the smartest oil change you can make. Introducing a new Quaker State motor oil. Now Quaker State has a revolutionary formula called QSX. QSX fights engine choking sludge better than other leading oils to keep oil flowing to vital engine parts. For a cleaner, longer-lasting engine, change your oil. Really change your oil to new Quaker State with QSX, the smartest oil change you can make.
The Pro Stock Thunderbird of 7-time NHRA champion Bob Glidden uses just one make of tire, the Goodyear Racing Eagle. And every Thunderbird Turbo Coupe leaves Ford with just one make of tire, the Goodyear Eagle VR Gatorback Street Radial. And not by coincidence, because Goodyear makes better high-performance tires for the track and for the street. Goodyear Eagles. They'll take you home the quick way or to the winner's circle.
Goodyear, take me home. I feel good.
Time to go, boys. You've been in there long enough.
Hey, we're not even tired. I feel good.
So I've checked the mileage, Andy.
Hey, where are the auto lights? We're guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
I feel good. Yeah, 2 years, no matter how far we go.
But no spark plug guarantees that.
We do. Yeah, we're the auto lights. So go pull the plug on somebody else.
An American tradition continues when the Yankees meet the Tigers or the Giants face the Reds. The memories are waiting next Saturday.
Well, how hot is it here in New Jersey? We're in Darrell Gwynn's pit, and when was the last time you saw a professional drag race mechanic work on the machine while enjoying a popsicle? Well, it's time for the funny cars at the Budweiser Summernationals, and it's Kenny Bernstein who currently leads the points fight. But John Force is in hot pursuit by virtue of a win just a few weeks ago in Saint Air, Canada at the Grand National. 10 times he had been to the final round without a win, but this time it was different, and John Force went on to win.
So, the frustration is over for the man who drives this car. And, John, I've got to ask you, how does it feel to arrive here a champion?
Steve, you've been here with me so many times. We've done this before, and the only difference is now it's changed. You take 12 years of your life, the first half with Don Prudhomme taking it away. You come back with Kenny Bernstein taking it away, and one day you can finally call home to your 5-year-old daughter and say, yeah, we won it this time. We took it all. It makes my hair stand up. It's something we have earned. My crew chief, Austin Coyle, we worked hard for it. We won it. The sponsors paid for it. We got there, and the fans got it. And I thank God it's finally over. It may only be beginning now, and that's where we're at. I mean, it's a whole new ball game today, and I'm scared to death. But at least we were there once, and we're going after it again.
John Force, a most enjoyable man. He's in the far lane as he faces the king, Kenny Bernstein.
Bernstein driving a Buick LeSabre bodied car. John Force with an Olds Forenza. Both cars getting maximum traction. A terrific funny car contest. It is Kenny Bernstein by only 2/100ths of a second. 562 to John Force's 564.
So Bernstein scores the victory, and once again, the red car wins. That brings up this man, 4-time world funny car champion Don Prudhomme. And you can imagine with this caliber of competitor, he's always trying to develop something new.
You know, famous drivers like Don the Snake Prudhomme have people stopping by their pits all the time, wanting them to promote their product. Well, the fellow who came by offering the use or the loan of the Move and Cool machine here, he got no rejection whatsoever. It's a refrigeration unit that plugs into 110 and blows ice-cold air through this huge ducting to anywhere they want it, to the clutch, to the engine, to the tools, to their faces. And, Paul, I'll tell you, it's particularly effective on announcers. Oh, eat your heart out, Paige. Thanks, Snake.
Sure, it feels good.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, real good, Steve. I appreciate that. Well, Prudhomme will face Tom Hoover.
Tom Hoover, who we mentioned earlier in regard to his parents' 62nd wedding anniversary. Hoover, a week ago, Paul, was racing in England, and here he is against Don Prudhomme. They leave right together. Boy, we have got another classic side-by-side drag race. It is the man who drives for that crew, Don Prudhomme, getting the victory. 577 to a 579. Again, only 2/100ths determine the winner.
Well, the quarter mile here at Englishtown is really producing some great racing in the heat today. The heat really forcing the drivers to pull out their skill. Hoover and Prudhomme came off the line side by side, but it was the skill of the Snake that finally saw the victory. Now he's with Steve.
When you come to a track like this time of year, you can expect these kind of conditions. Do you build a motor for this? Anything you can do internally?
You know, I guess so. You know, this is our first year back on the circuit, so we're just trying to learn a little bit this year and really pick the pace up next year. But, you know, the heat's always been bad here at Englishtown. I kind of expected it, but I don't know what to do about it.
I don't either.
Well, it looked to me like he had at least one solution. Now, in funny car, Mark Oswald faces Billy Meyer.
Billy Meyer won the Spring Nationals earlier this year in Columbus, Ohio, Paul. But Mark Oswald, the 1984 world champion, now at the wheel of a Thunderbird, has really been having a tough season. But the man from Cincinnati has qualified well here this weekend. That's encouraging. Billy Meyer not only races cars, he owns a racetrack. The fabulous Texas Motorplex outside of Dallas. That will be the scene of a major national event in October. But here they come. Billy Meyer in the far lane. Candies and Hughes out of Houma, Louisiana. Mark Oswald from Ohio, their driver.
Paul Candy stands just behind and watches as Mark Oswald comes off the line, pours the power on, and Mark Oswald, there's Candies. He knows he has a winner, and Mark Oswald with a, get this, 5:52. What incredibly quick ET, the fastest of the meet, and a new track record here at Englishtown. That brings up this man, Mike Dunn. Dunn will face Tom McEwen. Now Dunn rolls forward over a little section of the track that's covered with water and performs this maneuver, known, of course, as the Burnout. It is an opportunity to clean the tires, to heat them up, to get them ready to go for action. Let's go to Steve.
You'll remember I said at the top of the show that the pack was closing in on Kenny Bernstein. Well, this man, Mark Oswald, has just exceeded anything Bernstein has done at this event. Low elapsed time, period, 5:52.
Yeah, it's been getting better all week. You know, this is one of the few weekends where every run we've made has been better. You know, we're just kind of seeing what the track would give us, and that's probably going to be about it.
The car looked like it was an animal to drive.
Yeah, it started to get loose out there, so that tells you it's right on the edge.
That's the quickest man. This is the fastest car. With Mike Dunn at the wheel, this machine ran in qualifying over 270 miles an hour. That's only the second time in history that's been done. He will face longtime veteran Tom McEwen, who last year had one great season, scoring 2 victories.
Mike Dunn does not run the entire tour pole, but last year his dreams came true when he won the U.S. Nationals. McEwen loses traction right off the starting line. McEwen has shut off. It is all Mike Dunn, 268 miles per hour.
And with that win, Mike Dunn moves to the funny car semifinals, where he will face Kenny Bernstein, and Bernstein will have the lane choice. And Mark Oswald will face Don Perdome. Oswald will have lane choice. Top Fuel semifinals coming up next.
Three out of 4 Indy drivers prepare their engines with a special high-performance oil treatment. Its name, STP.
STP is the racer's edge.
It was so simple. Really, a direct electrical charge here heats up the carbonized filament here, which in turn excites the gases trapped in here. And voila!
Well, it's very nice, Thomas. But I wanted a Bud Light.
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Don't feel bad, Thomas. It's not a complete loss.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
The Pro Stock Thunderbird of 7-time NHRA champion Bob Glidden uses just one make of tire, the Goodyear Racing Eagle. And every Thunderbird Turbo Coupe leaves Ford with just one make of tire, the Goodyear Eagle VR Gatorback Street Radial. And not by coincidence, because Goodyear makes better high-performance tires for the track and for the street. Goodyear Eagles. They'll take you home the quick way or to the winner's circle.
Goodyear, take me home.
If you've ever dreamed the dream of a champion, now your sports fantasy may come true on NBC Sports World.
If you've ever dreamed the dream of a champion, now your sports fantasy may come true on NBC Sports World.
It's a record crowd here at the Budweiser Summernationals. I'm Paul Page with Steve Evans on one very hot afternoon. But this crowd, along with the rest of us, watches the sky because there is the possibility of thunderstorms. Dick LaHaye sits ready for the semifinals in Top Fuel. His daughter and chief mechanic fires that tremendous power plant. For the LaHayes, drag racing is very definitely a family affair. Earlier, Steve Evans took a closer look.
There's a bit of a twist on an old saying here in the Dick LaHaye pits. Behind every good woman is a good man. And in this case, behind crew chief Kim LaHaye is her older brother, Jeff. Jeff, what's it like taking orders from your little sister?
Well, it's kind of unusual, but I just, you know, work with the team and try to work as a team and try to do whatever has to be done. And if she tells me something to do, well, I just go ahead and do it.
You sure picked the right year to rejoin the family band.
Well, the Miller sponsorship definitely helped, and it was just nice to come back to racing.
Oh, boy. Good luck in the semi.
Thank you.
And as as you can see from that earlier piece, Kim LaHaye was changing the clutch between rounds, which is very unusual.
It is, Paul. Once you get that clutch unit working, they're so important that you like to stay with the same one throughout the race. There is Joe Amato, the World Championship points leader. And in the near lane, the man who is his #1 challenger, Dick LaHaye, trying to win 4 national events in a row. It has never been done. They move forward. LaHaye finally moves up to the starting line, and they're away. Joe Amato with the wheels in the air. LaHaye suddenly loses traction. LaHaye felt that, got off the throttle, and could not recover in time. Jerry Amato celebrating this victory as Joe wins at 5.38 seconds, 269 miles per hour.
Looking back to the starting line, watch the car on the near side. The key is right here. He has traction at first, and then suddenly the tires begin to spin. The blue smoke tells you the traction has gone away.
Joe Amato, are you a happy man?
I'm elated. This is our hometown track, Steve. You know, to do good here, you know, I'm going to get excited, a little sentimental here, but Englishtown always has special value to me because it's, you know, it's this close to my warehouse, my family, my people. To do good here with 1,000 people in the bleachers, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Darrell Gwynn and Gary Ormsby at the starting line. Who do you feel you'll race in the final?
Well, Darrell seems like he's starting to come around, but Ormsby's been running real good this race here, so I'd like to see Ormsby win because of the points thing, sure, you know, on the long haul. But either one, we're just happy to be there, and you know, LaHaye beat us 3 times in the finals. You know, it's fun to win.
Happy to see you in the finals, Joe.
Well, as we saw there, what the crew does is so very important. What happens back in the pits in between the rounds. Earlier, Steve Evans took a close look.
Many times in our Sports World drag racing coverage, you've seen all the people that swarm over one of these top fuel dragsters to get it ready for its next run down the quarter mile. Well, let's meet Darrell Gwynn's large and quite young crew. First of all, that's Andre Hayes. He's just 21 years of age. He's in charge of tires and also assisting on the clutch, which is what he's doing right now. Now, over there, that's Mike Cunningham. He's a hard worker. He's in charge of the top of the engine, particularly the left side cylinder head, and he also inspects the valve train. Now, there's Chris. That's Mike's son. He's just 22. He's in charge of the right head, the magneto. He also services the pistons and again helps out with the clutch. Now, Mike Green, he's 27 years of age. He removes the transmission. He services the heads, installs the trans and clutch, and that's all real heavy-duty work. He gets a workout between rounds, believe me. There's Dave Tomash. He's 25, and he cleans and prepares parts. He shoots the video camera on the starting line, and he drives their great big 40-foot rig. Now, Joe Schaefer, he has probably got the toughest job of them all as far as heat and sweat and oil. He's the diver, the bottom-end man. Checks those bearings and makes sure that everything is A-OK down there. Now, last but certainly not least, spending a summer job on the road. He's a college student. His Trip Manley, 20 years of age, and he's the gopher. He does anything they ask him to do. A big, expensive crew, right? They're mostly volunteers. They work for the airlines, and they fly free.
And as you can see, with that kind of precision and tremendous equipment, only happens with the wonderful corporate involvement that NHRA has in their World Series of Drag Racing. Gary Ormsby on the far side. Darrell Gwynn the near side. Gwynn picks the front wheels up. Now the traction is lost for Gwynn. And Gary Ormsby, Lee Beard, his crew chief, knows he is the winner at 5:42, 266 miles an hour.
Well, Paul, at the point where Darrell Gwynn shut off, the engine all of a sudden went way up. The RPM's up to 10, 11,000, and that usually means you have broken something in the drivetrain.
So Joe Amato gets his wish. He will face Gary Ormsby in the finals, and Amato will have lane choice. Pro Stock Semis coming up next.
Take me back where I belong. Take me where this heart was born. Just take me as I am and let me stay. Take me home. Could you take me home? Never matters how far I go. Good year, take me home.
You are about to see the smartest oil change you can make. Introducing a new Quaker State motor oil. Now Quaker State has a revolutionary formula called QSX. QSX fights engine choking sludge better than other leading oils to keep oil flowing to vital engine parts. For a cleaner, longer-lasting engine, change your oil. Really change your oil to new Quaker State with QSX, the smartest oil change you can make.
It's time for Lifestyles of the Original Party Animal with the Grand Poobah of Partyometry, Bud Light's own Spuds McKenzie, as he's planning tonight's Big Bash. His fans watch as he tans his way to party elegance, a facial and massage, and Spuds McKenzie is ready to party. And Spuds parties with only Bud Light. He knows everything else is just a light.
Joe Marno's pit area as crew chief and engine builder Tim Richards prepares for the final round. And Steve Evans is with the crew chief as they just beat Tim LaHaye.
Driver Dick LaHaye is saying that he may have cost the team the victory because he left with the RPMs a little too high. But Kim, you've got the car ready. What do you think?
Well, I don't think it was a driving job at all. In my opinion, Dad's the best driver out there. He always responds to what the track is like, and he does real well driving. I think it was just a clutch change that I made, that we decided to make, that was a little too much for the track. We thought the track would be a little bit better for the semifinals, and it wasn't quite as good as we hoped it'd be.
But when Kim LaHaye misses it, it tells you how tough this track is to read. We're at the Budweiser Summer Nationals and ready for the semifinal round in Pro Stock. Larry Morgan is staged and ready to take on Bruce Allen.
Oldsmobile in the far lane, Chevrolet Camaro in the near lane. Bruce Allen is the last to stage. There, he's finally in. RPM's up, and they leave the line side by side. And it looks like we've got another typically close Pro Stock contest. It is Bruce Allen for Chevrolet in the near lane.
So Bruce Allen takes the win with a 761, 181 miles an hour. Next in Pro Stock, Jerry Haas, the blue car, will take on Jerry Ekman. I'm sure Ekman is wondering about Haas. He's never driven an NHRA event and got here by beating the reigning world champion Bob Glidden. Let's go to the far end now, and Steve with Bruce Allen.
How is the track for a Pro Stock car?
Well, it's actually, for our particular car, it's too good. We've got more traction than we can handle, and we're going to have to get rid of it a little. We're shaking out. We're letting the clutch on. It's just rattling the tires in low, pulling second, and it finally goes away. So
I'm sure Ruin Morrison will take care of that for you for the final.
Buddy and Dave are excellent. They watch the car. They know more about it than I do, so they'll do a good job getting it ready.
You did a good job as well.
With the hot weather, still very tough to read this track here. Still the threat of thunderstorms. And remember, a Chevrolet has not won in Pro Stock in over a year and a half. Now on the line, Ekman the near lane, Haas the far lane. Again, they come off very close together. It is Ekman now that begins to drive down Haas, and Ekman comes across the line with a 758, 181 miles an hour, ending Jerry Haas's dream day. And so the final pairing for Pro Stock will be Jerry Ekman facing Bruce Allen, and Allen will have lane choice. Mark Oswald ready to run in Funny Car, the semifinals, as Jerry Ekman climbs out of his car, a very happy man at the far end as he's ready to move to the final round for Pro Stock. Mark Oswald, the near lane. Don Prudhomme in the far side. The semifinal round of Funny Car.
Well, Prudhomme really has his work cut out for him, Paul, because that red Thunderbird is the quickest car of this entire event. It's another terrific side-by-side start. Look at Prudhomme hanging in there, but he can't quite do it. Paul Candies, with his fist in the air for his driver, Mark Oswald, he moves to the finals in 5.56 seconds.
So the question now, who will Oswald face? This man, Kenny Bernstein, the reigning world champion in Funny Car, or the man who has been fastest at the track today? This man, Mike Dunn. But at the far end, Steve is now with the first of our two Funny Car finalists.
Mark Oswald suddenly seems to have taken total control over this Funny Car field. Mark, a beautiful 556. You didn't soften it up very much.
No, we just backed it off a little bit, you know, seeing what we could get out of it. And it actually ran a little smoother that time. I'm really pretty happy with that. You know, the 52 was a little bit on the ragged edge, and that felt pretty safe.
At the starting line, the blower in Kenny Bernstein's car. And what we have is in the near lane, the world's quickest Funny Car. The far lane, Mike Dunn, the world's fastest Funny Car. And these two cars are the only ones ever to run over 270 miles an hour as Kenny Bernstein edges out out Mike Dunn at the finish line. Bernstein with a 568, 263 miles an hour to send Kenny Bernstein into the finals. Now watch on the far side as Mike Dunn loses traction just after the starting line. Kenny Bernstein also loses traction, but gets it back under control. And then once Bernstein has it hooked up, he goes all the way to the finish, beating Mike Dunn and moving himself into the final round.
There's no more sinking feeling for the men that drive these cars than feeling those rear tires come loose and know you may have opened the door for the other guy. His also came loose. You won it 568.
Well, it did. It knocked him loose. It shook real hard and spun him loose, and it was just hanging on. When it happened, I thought, boy, this could be trouble because he's been running awful quick and fast. But like you said, he had some trouble, and we zipped by her. But he was right there the whole time.
So Kenny Bernstein will face Mark Oswald, and Oswald will have lane choice. The finals coming up next.
Maybe you'll be lucky. Maybe you'll just have to replace your connecting rods. But maybe you'll need new valves. Then your bearings and crankshaft could go. Maybe even your rings and pistons. But you can help prevent all this for just a few dollars with a Fram Wear Guard oil filter. A leading consumer magazine rated Fram Best. So you can pay a few dollars now or a lot later.
Three out of 4 Indy drivers prepare their engines with a special high-performance oil treatment. It's named STP.
STP is the racer's edge.
We're in Gary Ormsby's pit area as the crew is making final adjustments on his top fuel dragster in preparation for their meeting with Joe Amato under the direction of this man, Lee Beard, the crew chief. Now, there's been a tremendous lightning storm in the area, rain moving by on both sides of the racetrack, and as a result, we've lost our camera down at the far end as we're ready for the Pro Stock Finals at the NHRA Budweiser Summer Nationals. It is Jerry Eckman in the near lane, ready to face Bruce Allen.
And Paul, Jerry Eckman told me in the staging lane, just making the final was the biggest thrill of his racing life. That's Bruce Allen in the far lane. Jerry Eckman will be in the near lane. They are both Chevrolet Camaro. Chevrolet cannot lose this one. They are side by side as they approach the quarter-mile mark. The race goes to Eckman for the first time ever. He wins in national competition.
Jerry Eckman with a 750 to a losing 755 for Bruce Allen. The winning speed, 183 miles an hour as Jerry Eckman scores a victory here at the Summer Nationals. And it is funny car coming up. Kenny the King Bernstein ready to face Mark Oswald as Bernstein pours on that tremendous power from this funny car, nitromethane fuel. There is Mark Oswald, the Candies and Hughes crew, as they prepare Mark's machine, ready to roll out as well. But for the moment, let's go down and celebrate in victory with Jerry Eckman.
Well, Paul, Sports World is proud to be a part of this man's first ever NHRA Pro Stock victory. Congratulations, Jerry Eckman. And as you cross the finish line, you ran into the rainstorm going on down here.
No, it was a little shaky getting it stopped. I touched the brake a little hard, and I knew it was wet. I saw the drops hitting the windshield. But I was so thrilled to win. It's just such a thrill. It's, like I said, it's those once-in-a-lifetime thrills that come your way, and I was so happy for myself, for Bill Orndorff and the crew, Ron Swift, that we were able to pull this off, and our new sponsor, John Waldy. And we're just thrilled to death.
And Steve, despite that spitting sky and lightning all throughout the area, this record crowd has stayed here at Englishtown to see these final rounds. Now, this is Funny Car. The finals, there's Kenny Bernstein backing it up, and that's Dale Armstrong, his crew chief. The crew chiefs will be really key to a victory here today.
Dale, what can you do to this automobile to give Kenny Bernstein what he needs?
Oh, we're just going to put it back, try and put it back about like it was qualifying, and in the first round where it can run a mid to high 50. That time there we had to put in 2 new clutch discs, and you go up there and do the burnout and the clutch seats in, and the clutch gets stronger and stronger, and it got a little too tough and shook it and then smoked the tires. The clutch that's in it, that's in there now is going to stay in there. We know what's in there, so I think we can step it up a little.
Leonard, the elapsed times say that the car you prepare is in control over the car Dale Armstrong prepares. Do you feel that way?
Well, not really. Armstrong is always hard. He's tough. He's run 56 and 58, and that's about what we were running, and I think we'll have to step on it just a little. Try to be safe on the tire smoke deal, but we're going to have to move a little, I'm sure.
Never take it easy, do you?
You can't, no. Got to keep at it.
The job for those 2 men now complete, and it's up to the drivers, Oswald and Bernstein. Oswald the near side, Bernstein to the far side. They both are staged and ready. The green light flashes on, and now we have one very tight race. Oswald pulls on the power, but Paul Candice saw the wind light go to the other lane of Kenny Bernstein. He also may have seen an early parachute, which could have controlled the win. Actually, there are 2 reasons why Bernstein won this race. There's the first, as Bernstein gets the hole shot, comes out first. Then Oswald is really matching Bernstein down the strip. But as they come to the finish line, watch the car in the near lane. That is Oswald. They're neck and neck. Oswald is actually winning, but he pulled the parachute too early, and Bernstein won.
Seldom have I seen Kenny Bernstein this excited after a win, and it's because, I think anyway, they put so much pressure on him today. It was not an easy victory, Kenny.
Oh, man, I'm proud of these guys. They worked so hard. Charlie, Dale, Mike, Jeff, Jim, all day, 2 in the morning, and then we got him in the final.
This one was Ken's.
Let me give you the numbers. Let me give you the numbers, okay? You ran a 56, he ran a 53, and you nailed him.
Hey, Armstrong has given me so much room in this crew for 2 years. I owed him this one.
And this one went right down to the final inches.
Hey, Oswald and Candice and Hughes, class act, excellent racers. We always have war. I said it was World War III. It may be World War 23, because every time we race them, it's a war. They're great people.
And you, my man, are a great racer yourself.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Kenny Bernstein. Oh, I've never seen him quite like this.
And with that win, Kenny Bernstein stretches his points lead in the World Funny Car title. Top Fuel final round is next.
Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil. Their high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the only leading motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
A leading consumer magazine has just cleared the air. Of all oil filters tested, the new Fram Wear Guard was rated best. Fram, you can pay a little now or a lot later.
Engine repairs are not cheap, but they may be preventable with Fram Wear Guard oil filters. A leading consumer magazine rated Fram best. So pay a few dollars now or a lot later.
In the minors, you must have called it all 1,000 times. Then one day, you got the call. What's this, rookie umpire? Here's to you. Beechwood age for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
Compliment for that gentleman.
This bar's for you.
An American tradition continues when the Yankees meet the Tigers or the Giants face the Reds. The memories are waiting next Saturday.
This is it, the final round of Top Fuel. Gary Ormsby sits ready. He's been very calm, almost placid in the cockpit. In just a moment, the roar will begin to build, and the final round of Top Fuel will be underway. In the meantime, the 1984 champion, Joe Amato, sits just as calm, just as ready. And in just a few moments, the title of Top Fuel at the Summer Nationals will be decided.
Well, throughout this race, everyone has been talking about Joe Amato and Dick LaHaye. While they were doing that, Gary Ormsby, Roseville, California, was quietly picking his way through this field and is now in the final round up against Joe Amato. The drivers are thinking only about the race at hand, but the crews behind the cars are wondering about the engine setup. Since these cars came into the staging lanes, this storm has moved in, the temperature has dropped over 20 degrees, and the nitromethane in that tank is very sensitive to temperature. The cooler the weather, the more potent the brews. So it's possible that one or both cars could overpower this racetrack just because of that. Gary Ormsby's last chance for victory came 1 month ago at the Spring Nationals in Columbus, Ohio. That day, in the final round, he was up against Dick LaHaye. This was Dick LaHaye's second win in his 3-race streak. Ormsby was in the near lane, LaHaye was in the far lane. LaHaye was in command from start to finish. But the loss that day may have spurred on Gary Ormsby, Lee Beard, and his crew. Because here in Englishtown, it's time for the final, and Gary Ormsby is participating in it. He's in the near lane. The far lane is Joe Amato. Amato has lane choice, has selected that far lane. A beautiful start by both drivers, and a power wheel stand for Joe Amato. Then the supercharger explodes. You can see the damage to the front end as that car pounded down. Gary Ormsby is the Summer Nationals champion at 5.34 seconds.
And Joe Amato slides to a stop. Fortunately, the car is safe, but it was one very scary moment. Watch the car in the far lane. They both move together. Ormsby actually leading Amato. And then suddenly the front wheel begins to rise like a 747 going for the sky. As the wheels come back on the ground, the back end bounces, and kaboom, the blower lets go. Watching it from a different angle, look how high these front wheels get up into the air. A scary, scary moment for Joe Amato, but he controls the power and tries to get the front as carefully as he can to the ground. Then the blower lets go. But Joe Amato, fortunately, is okay, and Gary Ormsby is our new winner.
Well, there'll be joy in Roseville, California tonight. Gary Ormsby, Summer Nationals champion.
Oh, thank you, Steve. There's going to be a party tonight. It's been a long time, buddy. I never thought I'd win none of these again.
Did you hear the boom in the other lane?
I saw it go up in the air. Looked like he did a wheel spin, yeah. Yeah.
And then apparently a blower explosion. We heard the concussion down here. You ran a 5:34. Good.
Yeah, well, we stepped her up a little bit for that. We knew we had to step up.
You know, between the semifinals and the final, in fact, between the time you left your pit and the starting line, the temperature dropped 25 degrees. That changes these things a lot.
That definitely helped, too, but we had everything in the tank, and we put some weight on the clutch. We did it all for the final this time.
You didn't make any changes when it cooled off like this?
No, we just kept everything we could put in it.
Obviously, it was the right thing to do. Your second NHRA victory again. Congratulations from Sports World.
Thank you very much.
And Gary Ormsby's 5:34 was just as fast as he's run all day. Let's look at Joe Amato one more time, though. The far lane once again. Watch the front wheels come up and off the ground. Just a frightening moment because you have no idea now where that car is going. There's no steering control at all. But Amato got it safely back on the ground.
Could the change in weather have affected that engine?
No, we adjusted a little bit because it did cool off. You know, we try to, compensate for the weather changes and the track conditions. It just came out of nowhere. It was on a good run. I don't know who left on the starting line reaction time, but I thought I was ahead, and that thing just started going up. And
all in all, between you and Dick